and this is a working idea, and I think James Baldwin, that interview with Nikki Giovanni and James Baldwin, where they're talking about gendered relationships in their community, and Nikki Giovanni is challenging James Baldwin to say, why when you come home do you treat me differently than you treat those white folks out there? And James Baldwin, I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember the whole thing, but in response says, well, because this is the moment, the space that I get to release.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? And she's like, but why would you treat the person who loves you the most in that way? And in that interview, you saw James Baldwin be challenged by Nikki Giovanni. And she was right. We tend to treat the people we love the most, sometimes in the most harmful ways, because we think they're not going anywhere. That is unhealthy. And that's how we maintain unhealthy patterns from previous relationships. To be in authentic relationship and partnership requires a tremendous amount of healing work of self and in partnership. And I didn't learn that until I came out of a relationship. That I was projecting all of my pain and trauma onto that person to attain some form of power. And I think men do this too, right?
Yeah.
And that power made me feel good temporarily, but it never fixed the real issue, because the real issue was internal. But if I could even demonstrate some form of power over, it felt good for a moment. It was instant gratification in an unhealthy way. And I think men do this too. And then I think about this as men of color. I am oppressed by this system. They do not fully value me. And so therefore, how do I create a situation where I feel like I have some control?
Right.
And so then I engage in relationships dynamics, particularly if you're heterosexual, right, in this context, with women, where I almost sub-oppress that woman to make myself feel better.
Right.
And Paulo Freire talks about this in Pedagogy of the Oppressed. Be weary of the oppressed who becomes the oppressor, because that kind of power over is intoxicating. And you can apply that to any construct. In intimate relationships, again, sometimes it's a place where we act out all of our trauma, all of our needs.
Yeah. And I think the cure to that is just